Hello everybody, this is a Lamley showcase. I don't do very many forays into the vintage stuff, but this should be a fun video today because I have made this discovery that was around when I was a kid, but I absolutely love these. You know I'm into the rigs. I have been showing big rigs 1/64 scale for a bit now, from first gear DCP to mini GT to Tomica Limited Vintage and even Hot Wheels. And this is kind of the, I don't know, like the deep hole I went into. Kind of started with this thing, the Elite 64. When I'm talking about Hot Wheels rigs, at least, this amazing Elite 64 Freightliner from Hot Wheels that was released last year. And I was so excited to see, I was getting into the rigs. I've been into the rigs for a little bit, but I've been really leaning in for a bit. And I've liked the realistic 1/64 rigs from Tomica Limited Vintage and Mini GT, and then of course I discovered first gear and DCP, which was amazing, and then Hot Wheels did this thing. And so I'm gonna open this up because I want to kind of walk through this kind of little portal that I went through when it came to these 1/64 rigs and kind of discovered. And so I kind of started discovering Hot Wheels as well, but I want to really talk about kind of this little line I walked through. So we're going to pull out. If you haven't seen this, I know that you've probably seen, I think I did a video on this truck, of course, but how cool this truck is, how nicely packaged it is. Hot Wheels, you know, we kind of put Hot Wheels in a particular zone where it's like they're not going to be as realistic as, say, your Mini GTs and other brands, but they are going to do their own stuff. But they kind of hit a home run with this Freightliner, and I've heard this from a lot of people. Sure, it doesn't have some of the moving parts that some of the others do, but it's not fragile. Like, this is a heavy-duty truck, all metal, and while it doesn't have the moving parts, it does work really, really well, and it kind of vibes perfectly for that Elite 64. So, and for Hot Wheels, I mean, it's all metal. It's got, you know, enough moving parts. I mean, well, not really moving parts. I mean, obviously it's the two parts, but it's got enough detail to really make it kind of, you know, like that ultra premium, like when you look at all of these details, but it's durable enough that it can kind of take a beating like Hot Wheels essentially should, right? They shouldn't be super, super fragile. So anyway, so I'm kind of like into this. And so while I'm looking at this 1/64, I'm also kind of going backwards and like, okay, well, what is the state of 1/64 trucks? If I'm a 1/64 rig collector now, which I guess I am, where to go with these? And I was like, well, the obvious thing recently is Team Transport. This is the Lamborghini set, or at least this is the truck with the Lamborghini set that has a kind of a cool, oh, there's a little plastic in there, moving part in it. And I mean, but these are, I mean, I guess most of them are unlicensed. They're basically haulers. So you have some that are essentially pickups with trailers. Then you've got others that are more box trucks that would serve as a good hauler. But you're not, I don't know if you would necessarily say you're collecting Hot Wheels for the transporters unless you talk about some of the licensed ones. I think of the haulers, I mean, outside of like the 4Runner and the Land Rover they just did, I think this is my favorite hauler because it's licensed, it's classic, it's vintage. This is the Ford C800, so that cab is very much a nostalgic cab. Of course, it's modernized a little bit with Hot Wheels style. But again, this is more about the set and less about the hauler. I don't know how many people toss the cars and keep the haulers, or collect Team Transport solely for the haulers. I think the haulers are more of the complement to the model, and they're really fun to present this way. So I'll put these over here. I thought, okay, Team Transport is definitely a way to collect, but I don't know if, I wouldn't say that the 1/64 collectors are gravitating to those like they would this, of course. So then I went back a little bit further, and I was like, all right, what other? You can go back to some of the vintage cabs that we'll talk about a little bit, but in the more recent years, the only thing I can think of are the, what is it called? The Long Gone, which I don't have an example of because it's an unlicensed. There's the Convoy Custom. This one doesn't come with the trailer. Is it Convoy Custom? Yeah, Convoy Custom. It's a really, really nice cab. While it shows like it could possibly haul a trailer, it doesn't. It's a little bit weirdly proportioned with this exposed engine. I don't know if this is a Larry Wood design or not, but no window, like no plastic window. It's just open there, and it's obviously very much distorted in kind of like a cool, you know, kind of hot rod style, I guess. But it is a convoy. It is a cab. It is a truck. But again, I don't know necessarily. This is the one of the only, if the only example I have of this truck. It's been RLC and mail-ins and that sort of thing, kind of ultra premium, but we haven't seen it in a while. And I don't know how much excitement it would generate, but who knows? So that was one. You get a little bit more realistic with, well, not even more realistic. You get properly realistic with this fantastic cab. This is the Hot Wheels Thunder Roller, which is kind of a sequel to the original Thunder Roller. The original Thunder Roller was a nostalgic, was a cab over engine cab that was done as a basic model, like a $1 model back in the day. And then this is the premium version that was made. I don't know when it was actually upgraded to this kind of massive heavy model that we've seen in RLC. This was actually done in entertainment. What was this, like BJ and the Bear, I think? Was it BJ and the Bear, or was it? I don't remember which one, because the other cab, I'll get to it. But they did this for entertainment. It's super heavy. We've had this one, and then that I've kept because I really liked this cab. I think this is actually the origins of me really getting into the trucks. Well, the origins of me getting into the trucks was me being a kid, but you know, more about that later. It's been in RLC a few times, and I have a couple here. This copper gold version. But I will kind of note, this thing ain't carrying a trailer. There's no option whatsoever for it to carry a trailer. This is done purely as a solo model, right? As a cab. So that one goes there. And then there was this more recent one released in Spectre Flame Purple, which is actually quite nice. I think I like the copper gold version better, but you can see they're really nice models. There's some weight to them. I don't think it's based on any particular, I mean, it's obviously a classic cab, but I don't, you know, you could see this as a Kenworth or a Mack or something like that, but I don't, it's unlicensed, but it is nice. And I would say of those, of the kind of like the Convoy Custom or the Custom Convoy, whatever they call it, Convoy Custom and the others, it's a nice, you know, it's a nice homage to the rigs. But the one model that I really think was cool for trucks, and I would like to see it more, and maybe it's a little bit out of proportion, but it's nice, and kind of a sequel again to some of the vintage cabs that they put in the basic range, was this Kenworth. This Kenworth has been seen in pop culture. This was actually an entertainment, and back in several years ago, this is the Kenworth W900, and really, really nicely done. This might have been the BJ and the Bear. I mean, BJ and the Bear, I think, was the red one, and then was it Smokey and the Bandit? God, I gotta remember, but I didn't prepare when I started this video. So this one's very cool. It's a very cool cab, and vintage cab, which I like. It's got the reel riders. It's got good weight to it. It's hard. It's pretty expensive these days. I mean, it was a $7, $8 model back in the day. And this one, when you look in the back, I mean, maybe it could carry a cab, but again, I don't think it was really meant to. It's just to hold on its own. Hot Wheels hasn't really ventured into doing replicas of actual trucks for a long, long time until this Freightliner came about. So I've been kind of like, you know, I've been kind of saving most of my 164 big rig collecting for these other premium brands. And I've been actually quite happy with Mini GT, TLV, DCP, and First Gear. They do great, great trucks. I'm really more into the vintage trucks. But as I'm doing this foray into Matchbox convoys and Hot Wheels trucks and some of the more realistic 164, I discovered the steering rigs. And, oh, I guess I'm a vintage toy collector now, because these are awesome. I have to admit, I don't remember them as a kid. Maybe I was exposed to them. These are, I think, mostly from 1980, and they're very much toys, but they're very beautiful replicas. And what I have learned is I've talked to a few people that, and in fact, I'll put an Instagram link down to someone that I've talked to who has a really nice collection of these. But there are several lines of rigs that Hot Wheels has done, but mostly back into the 90s, 80s, maybe even the 70s. And this might have been their response to Matchbox convoys back in the day, because they were all about California customs and Spectre Flame and speed, cars, and everything else. But they did do this line of trucks. I don't think it lasted long. I don't know exactly how long it lasted, but these are fantastic. Now, I acquired these three on eBay. Actually, I did my first kind first. I bought this one together. I bought this cab on its own. I bought this trailer, which comes with this cab typically, on Etsy. That's the first time I've ever done that. I actually found this one doing a search, and I found it at a better price. So I bought this trailer, and then I bought this truck in a pretty ransacked package because I did want to see the package, but I also wanted to open it. And as I was researching these models, I was like, it would probably be blasphemy for so many of the steering rig collectors to see me get something in a crisp box and rip it open, considering it's from 1980. Like, what is that, 45 years old? So I found this one on eBay that already had an open package and a pretty mint truck inside. So we're going to start with this, and then we'll walk through the other 2 trucks that I have purchased. Go on eBay and look up Hot Wheels steering rigs, and you will find that most of these, when they're in decent condition and they have working parts, we'll talk about that in a second, really do go for some pretty hefty prices. I will say, if you totaled what I bought for this truck, this one, and this one, all of them were well over $100, and some even higher than that. So here you go. I'll show you the package. Real big rig detail. Take a wheel and steer them yourself. Steering rigs, you can kind of see based on the illustration there what's working. Here is the back, and you can see there's several different ones. And I don't know, it seems that this line lasted maybe 2 or 3 years only. And again, the collectors will tell me. And now that I've put this video out, I'm sure I'll get it. There's the shell model that I bought, the Peterbilt tanker. Here's a Kenworth van with a Hot Wheels trailer, Hot Wheels themed trailer, GMC hauler. I think that might be this one here. Well, it's right here, the GMC van with the Eagle trailer. This one hauler comes with, that's carrying some sort of, it's United is the brand, it's some sort of like sand and gravel. So is this one, the Peterbilt hauler as well. And then the Kenworth tanker with the Arco tank. So there are some, I think I looked at the year here. Where did I see it? Might be, yeah, right there. Mattel, 1980, Hawthorne, California, made in Hong Kong. It's another thing I learned. These were made in Hong Kong and France. The France variations are more valuable. And I don't think I have any of them. I think all of mine are Hong Kong produced. But the France variations, and there's package variations. Sometimes I've read in France that sometimes the trailer, like this trailer is supposed to come with the red, as you can see here, with the red rig. But sometimes the cab and the trailer didn't match, so you can find sealed ones with a different cab, and I guess that's pretty sought after by steering rig collectors. But I'm going to open this up. You can see kind of the package. This is not one that has a flap. This one was just ripped open, and I don't think any of them have a flap. I bought this one. There was some markings on it already, but good for me because it allows me to open it. It's just really cool to have these, and a little plastic piece. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. You can see it's yellowed and cracked, but everything seems pretty intact. Oh, look, there's even someone wrote in it, shell with a red tractor. So I don't want this to blow away. So what I'm going to do, you just could see me pulling this out and it totally disintegrating. I actually bought this on eBay and I have not opened it. This is actually my first time, so I'm going to be very careful. I just don't know what I'm really kind of pulling out here, so I'm going to put it down carefully and place this back. All right, let's hope that doesn't blow away. I'll put it down like that. All right, let me show you what we got here, and then we'll get through the other rigs. So here is the cab. And a couple of details about the cab. I think that's metal stacks. It does have an interior. Obviously really nice. There's the Peterbilt logo, done, you know, a little rudimentary, but considering the era. You obviously have this portion that carries the trailer, and then you have this little notch here, and we'll get to that in a second. That's how you know it's a steering rig. These are actually sold as trucks with trailers, and they actually sold these cabs on their own as well, and you can see those. And so the idea, I think, is that you would buy these, you'd buy the truck set, and then you could buy other cabs and then kind of mix and match as a kid. These are very much toys. This is in pretty good shape. There's the chassis, Peterbilt. And the other thing to notice is these are the classic wheels, right? The Blackwall wheels, the Hot Wheels Blackwall wheels. But one of them, if you look here, has a rubber ring around it. They've actually changed it. We'll talk about that in a second as well. So that's the cab. So yeah, it's like plastic wheels on the front and the back, but that middle one has that rubber ring. And you can, when you look at these trucks, what I've noticed is that some of them, the cheaper ones, you might find that that rubber ring has either aged and dried up and fallen off. But in this case, we haven't. I think in all these we do. Here is the cab. Sorry, the trailer. Plastic trailer, metal chassis. I'll show you what it says here. Just says Hot Wheels and Mattel, Hong Kong. Here's this mechanism. We'll get to that in a second. And here's the same thing. Plastic wheels and then another plastic rim, but with a rubber ring. I mean, call it a tire, call it a reel rider if you want to, but that's before this era. But you can see these are like rubber tires with this kind of like front tire ring on it. Then there's this knob thing. So if I take the knob, I'll just show you here. Well, I think you're figuring out what's going on here. You got this piece, and somewhere inside, which I don't know if you can see, if you turn the knob, you also turn that little mechanism. So you see what we're getting at? So the idea is that you take this portion of the truck, you add the part that, you know, goes into the part of the trailer, insert that, and then you turn and you let that little smaller piece fall into the hole, and then sure enough, as you put the truck down and turn the knob, you turn the truck. So when you're driving, you can turn the truck and straighten it. So it's a steering wheel mechanism. Now, I have found several of these trucks on eBay with that knob missing. So I'm doing it carefully because I don't want that to break. But obviously there's a mechanism in here. I don't want to open it up to look, that obviously turns this and then turns that little part that then, because it's inserted in this little notch here, will turn the truck. It's a brilliant idea and a brilliant execution, because it really, I mean, the knob does. I don't know what today's collector would think about this, because this is very much a toy type of deal, right? But I don't know. It just is really, really cool. And so when I said, yeah, maybe I'm a toy collector now, because this is very much a toy with that big knob. But when you're looking at these realistic cabs, Hot Wheels trucks now, you know, that you see like they did the Optimus Prime, whatever that line is called, those are mostly like, you know, fantasy kind of like really creative designs, but they're not totally realistic. So having these like realistic trucks with this ability to move is really kind of cool. So I bought that shell model first, but then it was these others that I was like, I like the shell model, but I really like these two other ones. One was because I really like this Eagle trucking design on the trailer here. It was very much a vintage, and I even looked it up. I don't know if Eagle trucking is really a thing. I did see some Eagle trucking, but I didn't see this logo, so maybe this was made up. But since 1932, maybe it's real. This has a door. I'm going to be very, very careful, because you can open it up. You actually might be able to see some elements of the mechanism, but it's really hard to see here. But so there's that door. I found some that had the door missing. Of course, there's the knob that works. And then, of course, the rubber tires. I didn't mention the rubber tire. Because I have this mat, it really doesn't apply. But what Hot Wheels found when they were designing these, and I don't know if they ever did any without it, but is that without the rubber tire to stick, if you were to drive the truck and then turn the wheel, it wouldn't turn the truck. It would just kind of keep sliding forward because there was nothing to grab. So that's why they created this. Maybe it's the original rubber reel rider. I have no idea if there's anything before that, but it allows for this truck to actually turn. Now on this mat, it would turn anyway, I think, but it's just so brilliant. I just love it. And I don't want to pull it too hard, like I said, because I don't want to break anything. That's the trailer. Let me show you the cab. So this is, I think, the same. It is the same. No, it's not. It's not. That's the GMC. This is the Peterbilt. I don't know why I was thinking that. So this one says GMC van. So maybe, yeah, see, I don't know. Maybe I have the wrong. Maybe this one does have this. This one says GMC van on it. Maybe it was supposed to be this one in red because this is GMC. So maybe I really have the wrong trailer with this package. That's totally fine because we have the right package. Now that you think about it, maybe this is the wrong one, but that's okay because I think it's supposed to be this one. And if you look closely, they are actually different. They both have sleepers, but look at the doors, that's different. Look at around the front wheel, that's different. So I would assume the front, oh yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. So that's pretty sweet. Okay, maybe this was mix and match. I'm okay with that because I have a real, the real cab, and I'll look at it. You know, see, again, more research for me to do, but ultimately I can show them. Here's the bottom of it. Like I said, it says GMC, made in Hong Kong. There's the rubber tires, and of course the Eagle Truckin', which fits in and just makes this so cool. I'm very much looking forward to displaying these together. But the one I ponied up a ton for this. It's a little beat up. It's got a yellowing knob, but the Allied truck, I was like, I have to get this. This appears to be, from what I can tell, the most expensive of the steering rigs. There was none, no matter the condition, that was less than, I think 200 bucks. But this one comes, obviously, with an Allied trailer. I had to get this one for a couple of reasons. I've mentioned in other truck videos that I would stand in between my parents on trips and point out trucks, but I wouldn't call them trucks. I'd use the letter F to start that word as I pointed out the trucks that would drive by, and I always had a particular fondness for Kenworth. But one of the reasons I think I love trucks is when we were very little, we moved from, I think, Oakland, California to Boise, and it was Allied Van Lines that moved us. And I remember just kind of like, almost like a sports team, of forming an allegiance to Allied Van Lines. So I was always excited as a kid to see the orange Allied Van Line trucks. And so when I saw that Hot Wheels had done this, I was sad that it was the most expensive truck, but it was the one I wanted. So I had to have it. So this one is the Allied Van trailer. From 1980. I do think that when we moved, it was the older logo, which was a little bit more of like a straight line, like a straight triangle showing this road. Let me show you the trailer. Just says Hong Kong. I think there's a France version of this one too. Rubber tire in the back to hold, to keep it straight. Of course, there's that mechanism. If you shake it, you kind of hear the mechanism inside. And then this Mac cab is really cool. It's a little beat up. I don't mind that at all. It's got some love and age to it. It has one stack. Front grille is very cool. It's got the side cab, which I think is just so rad. This like side holding cab. And I haven't seen any of this on the road for a long, long time. But I thought this one was just so beautiful. And I actually like a little bit of the age with it as well. Of course, there's the mechanism. It seems a little bit different than the other cabs. And obviously the style is different, but even how it was built, and I just love it. Of course, I'll show you the rubber tire in the middle there as well, all intact. So you put it on the road and you can turn it. It does get a little stuck. That's where I don't want to be. There we go. Turn it the right way. I'll put it here. And there you go. I had to have these. And I hope to not become a serious steering rigs collector, but I love how these fit in with the other trucks that I have been acquiring, Mini GT and DCP and everything else. A lot of talk, but I loved this rabbit hole I went down with the Hot Wheels trucks. And I think, while I wouldn't say Hot Wheels is the most prolific truck maker for 164, seeing this Freightliner going back to these steering rigs, it makes me pretty happy. So, yeah, you're going to see more vintage stuff from me. I don't want to say I'm going to go down all these holes, but I really, really dug the steering rigs, and I love having these three. Kind of fun to do an Etsy purchase to get one. And I will research, like, do I have to have a different cab? I don't know. But I like the three that I have. And those of you who do collect the steering rigs, I'd love to hear from you. I want to know what you collect, what you like about them, things you've learned about them, because it does seem like a really cool little line to collect, and there's some of you serious collectors out there. They ain't cheap, as I've said. You guys tell me what you think. Did you enjoy this? I sure enjoyed going through these, and I am very much looking forward to, as I develop my new office, putting these under in a display, because I think they are rad. Let me know what you think. Thanks, everybody. Bye.